Hey, everybody, good to have you. Welcome back. Let me ask you something right from the start. What would you do if the person you were with suddenly disappeared into the ocean in the middle of the night?
No lights.
No clear visibility. No immediate help. Would you panic? Would you call for help instantly? Would every second feel like a race against time? Now hold that thought, because in this case, that's not exactly what happened. This is the story of Nancy Guthrie, now missing at sea under circumstances that are raising more questions than answers. What was first described as a tragic boating accident is now being looked at much more closely because the details, the timeline, and the behavior surrounding this case simply don't seem to line up. Nancy reportedly vanished after falling from a dinghy during a nighttime boating incident in the Bahamas. A small boat, a controlled setting, something that, on the surface, shouldn't spiral into a complete disappearance so quickly. But it did. And the only person who was there, the last person to see her alive, was her husband. From the very beginning, his explanation has stood at the center of this case. He describes what happened as a cascade of failures, a series of unfortunate events all happening at once.
Sudden winds.
Equipment issues. Darkness setting in. Visibility dropping. Everything going wrong at the same time. Now here's the thing. Yes, the ocean can be unpredictable. Conditions can change quickly. But when investigators began to break down his story, piece by piece, they noticed something important. The timeline doesn't fully match up. Certain details shift. Moments don't align the way they should. Key parts of the sequence feel unclear. And when that happens in a case like this, it raises a serious question. Are we hearing a clear account of what happened, or something else? Then there's the issue of time. Because in emergencies like this, especially at sea, time is everything. The moment someone goes overboard, the clock starts ticking. Immediate action is critical. But reports suggest there was a delay before Nancy was officially reported missing. And that delay is hard to ignore. Because when someone you care about disappears into open water, the expectation is urgency.
Panic.
Immediate calls for help. A desperate attempt to bring them back. But that urgency doesn't seem to fully match what we're seeing here. A recorded phone call adds another layer to this. In that call, Nancy's husband is heard describing the situation. But what stands out isn't just the words, it's the tone.
Calm.
Controlled. Measured. Now, people respond to stress differently, that's true. Not everyone reacts with panic. Some people shut down. Some become focused. But when you combine that calm tone with a delayed response and inconsistencies in the story, it becomes part of a much bigger picture. And then there's Nancy herself. According to those who knew her, she was not inexperienced in the water. She was a strong swimmer. Someone familiar with ocean conditions. Someone who wouldn't simply give up without a fight. So that raises another question. How does someone like that just vanish without a trace? On top of that, there are conflicting reports about the actual conditions that night. Was the water really that rough? Were the winds truly that strong? Was visibility as bad as described? Or are those details being exaggerated? And what about emergency measures? Were flares used? Were signals sent out immediately? Because right now, even those details seem unclear. And then we get into something even deeper. The relationship. Because emerging reports suggest that things between Nancy and her husband may not have been stable. There are mentions of past domestic issues, claims of tension, even indications that Nancy may have been planning to leave. Now, that doesn't prove anything, but it adds context. Because when investigators look at a case like this, they don't just examine the moment something happened. They look at everything leading up to it. The history, the patterns, the dynamics between the people involved. And when you combine that background with inconsistencies, delays, and unanswered questions, that becomes impossible to ignore. Right now, authorities are facing a difficult reality. There is no body. And without that, the case becomes even more complex. It relies heavily on circumstantial evidence, statements, timelines, behavior, and the small details that either support or contradict the story being told. So the question remains, was this truly a tragic accident at sea? A moment where everything went wrong at once? Or is there something more happening beneath the surface? Because when you step back and look at everything together, the inconsistencies, the delay, the calm tone, the unanswered questions, it doesn't form a clear, simple story. It forms doubt. And in cases like this, doubt is where investigations begin to dig deeper. For now, the case remains open, unresolved, and filled with questions that demand answers.
What really happened that night?
Thank you for being here, for staying engaged, and for following this case as it continues to unfold. And before you go, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment your thoughts below, and share this video for updates as the story unfolds. Your support helps keep stories like this in the spotlight. Stay aware, stay informed, and I'll see you next time.